This is a better way. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the podcast. Um, as we start today, we're going to be answering one simple question. Well, not exactly a simple question, anyways, but it's the question of how do I trust in such a way that I am never ever betrayed? Now, this is a tough one because it's almost like it's putting 100% guarantee that what you're going to learn is going to prevent you from heartbreaks or prevent you from betrayal, whether it's in business relationships or whether it's in love relationships or just even casual relationships and friendship, as the case may be, right? But hey, here is the caveat, right? Like you know, and like I've always taught you, or we've always discussed on this podcast, there is no 100% guarantee that we can control other people's behavior towards us. But if you have followed me and you followed my teachings, you would know that one thing that is 100% guaranteed is that you have the capacity, and as a matter of fact, you should be in control of how you respond to other people. So, in today's episode, we're going to be discussing how do you trust in such a way that you are not betrayed, and most importantly, how do you become someone that can be trusted. Now, if you know anybody who's gone through a difficult betrayal or who has gone through a very traumatic relationship, and I'm not talking just love relationship, maybe business relationship gone sour and all that, I think this would be a good time to share this podcast with them. I hope they'll learn anything or two. So let's dive right into it, shall we? Now, the first thing to discuss is, why do we trust in the first place? As human beings, what motivates us to trust? Why do we want to trust other people? Why do we feel the need to trust people? Our need to trust people simply comes from a place of wanting to connect. Now, it simply comes from a place of wanting to be in a community or within the confines of a relationship. In other words, you can say that it is our way of communicating with the world that we don't want to be alone, or we don't like to do life alone, or we don't want to do life alone. That's simply why we trust. Think about it. Why would you trust a business partner? It's because you probably want to do business with that person so that because you believe that both of you can build something great. Why do you want to trust a friend? Is because you feel like you can benefit something from this person and this person can benefit something from you, whether it is just from the confines of your supporters, friends, and all that. And the list goes on and on. Now, is the desire for connection a problem? Is it wrong for us to seek connection as human beings? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, we as human beings, we are built for connection. We are built to desire to connect with other people. Now, one of the first reasons why our trust tends to fall into the wrong hands is because we first and foremost do not obey the cardinal rule, which is that trust is not a gift. Trust must be earned. Hmm. Trust is not a gift. Trust must be earned. Now, if this statement holds true, it therefore means that it's okay for us to give gifts to people we don't truly know because that's a nice thing to do as a human being. That's a good enough thing to do, right? It's okay to give gifts to someone you met maybe a few weeks ago or a few minutes ago even. Maybe a casual gift. It's fine. But your trust must be given to someone that you have tested and then therefore you have now come to trust. So your trust is not meant for strangers. You can be aware of someone for what, 10, 15, 16, 17 years, but they are still strangers to you. You do not know them. Take for example, um there are some people in your family, maybe your extended family, that you are aware of. Can you really say that you are close to them? You may be related by blood or something, but they are strangers to you because they do not know the intimate details of your life. You do not know the intimate details of their lives as well. So, a stranger is anybody you do not completely know to a reasonable extent the inner workings of their activities, their thoughts. You have not been able to experience them in multiple situations other than the only one that you have known them in. You have not seen them, you've not observed them in different situations, essentially. So, who then is someone that you know? Someone you know is a person that you have experienced at different intervals in different ways, and to a reasonable extent you can predict their actions. And the only way you are able to predict their actions is if you have spent time to know them and understand them, and you know what the principles that guide their decision making is. In other words, you know their values. That person is then no longer a stranger to you. However, you would keep knowing that person, you will keep getting more understanding about who this person is, but that person is not a stranger. So, the first cardinal rule is that trust is not a gift, it must be earned. So, when you meet someone for the first time, for the first few weeks, allow them into your life in batches. There's an old saying that is quite popular that your life can be likened to a house. There is a public space, there is a private space, and there's a most intimate space. Think about it like your house. It's not everybody that you allow into your compound or your premises. And it's not everybody that makes it into your premises that will make it into your sitting room. It's not everybody that makes it into your sitting room that can just go into your kitchen. I know, of course, maybe just the 1% of the 1% or the 0.1% of the 0.1% can make it into your bedroom. Now treat your life like that. So, these are measures and systems that ensure that people don't just have access to your life without any form of security checks. Now, the second thing is this: we have what is called confirmation bias. And the danger of confirmation bias is that it is not subjected to external scrutiny. What I mean by that is, you can meet someone and the person is saying all the right things and doing all the right things. And because the person is saying and doing all the right things, they are confirming your biases already. By that, they have bypassed your filters. And in situations like this is where you need a two-factor authentication, which is a friend, a family member, your spouse, or just an additional layer to check this person out or check this thing out, because you may not be seeing something that the other person currently sees. And take, for example, hiring managers in organizations and people and organizational managers have used this as tools for long to be able to sift through and assess candidates in order to be able to get the best of talents. And this is the reason why you have multiple people sitting in an interview panel. You know why? It's because as they all listen to the candidates, they are hearing the candidate from multiple points. And one or two people in the room, and and everybody in the same room does not have the same source of confirmation bias. Therefore, the candidate may be appealing to two out of the five people in the room. The other three people are not, for lack of a better word, carried away with what that person is saying. So they are able to have a second level check and see through it. And then there is an objective assessment of the situation. So, in order for you to avoid betrayal, always have two-factor authentication, which is second check with somebody who is not emotionally invested in that relationship as much as you are. They stand a better chance of being more objective than you will be. Now, what is the last thing? You know, a lot of people think that their gut feeling or their instincts are just there and do not play any role, or, you know, is not valuable. One of the things that hold true is if you ask many people that have made wrong decisions, they will tell you that something somewhere just did not feel right in my stomach. What usually happens is that they ignore it and then they just assume that it's just a feeling, or it will change. She's going to change. That instinctive gut feeling does not just come from anywhere. Let me tell you where your instincts and your gut feeling comes from. It is a compendium of data from the things you have learned in interacting with the world, the stories that you have heard, the experiences that you have gone through, the cues that you have picked, the patterns that you have observed. They all come together to form your gut feeling. And that's the reason why I love this philosophical phrase that says that man by birth is tabula rasa, and our experiences is the chalk that is used to write, or it's the chalk that writes on the slate of our mind. Now, your gut feeling is that entire experience, and at that point it is coming from your subconscious level because it is not in your conscious mind, and it's giving you red alert, red alert, red alert, and it's saying, check here, something is definitely wrong. Now, there are chances that, something is not wrong, but it's always better to err on the side of caution. So, stop dismissing your gut feeling as just gut feeling. It is data, and I have explained to you where this data is obviously coming from. Now, you have understood what to do, how to put systems to avoid being repeatedly betrayed or falling into the hands of wrong relationships. Now, it's enough for you to think that the problem can be with just the word, but it's time for some little reflection. And the interesting question here is, are you trustworthy as well? It's easier to demand the integrity of trust from others, but then the question is, are you trustworthy? What are some of the ways that you can just test that you are truly a trustworthy person? One of them is, how often is there how often do you have consistency in the kind of feedback that you get from sources that are not familiar with each other? Let me explain what I mean. So, if you are a trusted person in a particular field, which means you have demonstrated expertise in this field, right? How often do you have multiple random people tell you that you're quite good at this thing? That's a litmus test that you can be trusted when it comes to that particular thing. If the feedback that you are giving by different people who are not familiar with each other is inconsistent, it's a sign for you to go back and reevaluate to say something is missing. The second thing is, how often do you feel the need to share information that is shared with you in confidence? How often do you find yourself unable to control information that has been trusted to you? Now, if this is something that you're struggling with, I'm not here to bash you. I'm just pointing you in the direction of what is preventing you from being a trustworthy person. And what is probably making it difficult for you to have long-lasting relationships and friendship? It's because the currency of trust is low. The last but definitely not the least, which is one major pointer as to whether or not you're a trustworthy person, is this. How often do you find yourself being fundamentally unhappy with the progress of your friends or people who are considered your contemporaries? Now, I'm not asking all of these questions to make you feel like, oh, I'm such a bad person. No. These questions are questions that set you on the path of self-discovery and self-awareness, fundamentally so that you can begin to take a different path into becoming someone that you are more at peace with, that you accept more, and that you're more happy with. Now, if any of these questions that I asked, triggered something inside of you, here are some few things that you can do. The first thing is it's okay for you to desire what your contemporaries or your friends have, or to think that, you know what, I can do this, or I can even do this more better. It's there's nothing wrong with that. But it's most important for you to catch those thoughts, and when it starts to move into the extreme of being unhappy, consciously verbalize it if you must, and say to yourself, I choose to be happy for my friend. If you simply find inconsistency in the feedback around how, trustworthy you can be in a particular field, the only solution is just to go deep, to keep learning and keep fine tuning how you show up. Because for every single time you're showing up, you are communicating who you want to be known to be. And one of the most important advice that a senior colleague and friend of mine gave to me many years ago is, do not live your life to multiple interpretations, which means you must guide how you are perceived in the world, because perception is truly the reality to the onlooker. So, as we come to the end of this episode, I my major aim is to first and foremost remind you that you can trust without getting hurt, and you can become that person who can also be trusted. And you are right where you should start from. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. And if this podcast has resonated with you, please feel free to share, like, and comment. And until I see you on the next one, be kind to yourself. You deserve every good thing that comes your way. You know I'm rooting for you.